Tonight, Regina's police chief is suspended pending an investigation after a public complaint. Also, a collective agreement is signed between the government and Saskatchewan teachers. Plus, a Saskatoon environmental activist helped newcomers embrace the outdoors.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Friday, April the 4th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Hi there, thanks for watching. Regina's police chief has been taken off active duty and is now being investigated. This after a complaint was filed by a member of the community. Alexander Kwan brings us more.
Regina Police Chief Farooq Sheikh has been suspended from his job, but we don't know why. That's because those details aren't being made public. The city's Board of Police Commissioners has only revealed that a member of the public filed a complaint against Sheikh. That complaint is now being investigated by the Public Complaints Commission. The Board of Police has directed that Chief Sheikh be temporarily removed from active service until the Public Complaints Commission completes its work. There's no word on how long that investigation could last. Regina Police say they will not comment until the investigation is over, while the Public Complaints Commission, a 5-person non-police body, says it will not release any details about the investigation until it's over. Sheikh was appointed chief in December 2023 after serving as chief of the Alberta Sheriffs. While Sheikh is suspended with pay, Deputy Chief Laura Lee Davies will step in to act as interim police chief. Alexander Kwan, CBC News, Regina.
Premier Scott Moe is back from an overseas trade trip. He says the government is committed to expanding and diversifying the province's export markets around the world. The mission involved stops in Germany and the United Kingdom and was part of Saskatchewan's tariff response plan. The Trump administration announced sweeping reciprocal tariffs with a base rate of 10% for many countries on Wednesday. While Canada appears to have been spared, it's already dealing with a 25% tariff on certain Canadian goods and 10% on energy. Moe says he believes the trips to Washington to lobby officials were beneficial to Canada.
Saskatchewan certainly, and this was a message that we brought to the EU, to the UK this week, but bring on in every mission that we attend is that Saskatchewan can provide certainty in today what is an extremely uncertain environment. I would say in the broader European Union and the UK, where I just visited, as well as some of our traditional markets like India, like Vietnam, that there is a real thirst to advance trade, and not only with Canada, but specifically with Saskatchewan because of what we provide.
The opposition NDP is also pushing the government for more trade infrastructure, pipelines, and rail lines. The city of Saskatoon wants to pause its billion-dollar downtown arena project. It says there is too much economic uncertainty between tariffs and a federal election. The Downtown Arena and Entertainment District project has been in the works for years. The goal is to revitalize the city centre. The new arena would be built on this parking lot and replace the aging SaskTel Centre in the city's north end. A report going to City Council committee next week recommends delaying approval of its agreement with the project developer, OVG.
The challenge for us on various different projects is our supply chain is heavily tied in with the United States and Mexico through those free trade agreements, and adjusting our supply chain to find new sources for things it's just not reasonable to happen overnight.
If the committee agrees to the delay, the contract with OVG will go back to council in 6 months for approval. For the first half of 2024, teachers across Saskatchewan were parts of rotating strikes. Eventually, the government and the teachers' union agreed to binding arbitration. Now, many months later, it looks like the labor dispute is finally resolved. Liam O'Connor has the details.
Saskatchewan teachers and the provincial government have finally signed a new collective agreement. Teachers have been working without a contract since August 2023. The new deal was officially signed on Thursday. STF President Samantha Beacott says she's proud of her members.
I hope that teachers across the province are celebrating this as well. It's their actions, their voice, their message that they carried through over the last 2 years that has brought us to this point.
A major breakthrough in negotiations happened last month when an arbitration board ruled class complexity must be a part of the new contract. Since the agreement went through arbitration, no vote from members is needed, and it effectively means the language has been formally worked out. BCOT says recent negotiations with the government have been incredibly productive. She also says the historic agreement is a big deal for workers because of the power a body like the government holds in negotiations.
These were necessary changes that we needed to start to see in education. And I hope that inspires other groups too who are up against a powerhouse, whether it's their employer or the government, and feeling like there might be less hope. But like I said, when we work together, there's so much strength that comes from that.
BCOT confirmed the contract has language that includes provisions for additional teachers in schools and $20 million a year for a class complexity fund. Premier Scott Moe also welcomes the deal.
Good. That's always been the goal, and I think it's a very good indication as we move forward. As you saw in the provincial budget, significant investment, in particular investment in that K-3 space, and a focus on improving our K-3 outcomes.
While BCOT says this is a win overall, the work doesn't stop. The new contract will be retroactive to September 2023 and run until August 2026. BCOT says the STF will soon start looking at what it wants in the next agreement. Liam O'Connor, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Freedom Convoy organizers Tamara Leach and Chris Barber have been convicted of mischief for their role in the 2022 protests that paralyzed downtown Ottawa. But the judge also acquitted them of some other charges. As David Fraser shows us, supporters of the pair and the protest took the day as a win.
We love you, Chris.
Flanked by media, greeted by supporters, Chris Barber and Tamara Leach walked into court to face several charges, including mischief, intimidation, and obstructing police, for their role in leading what became the Freedom Convoy, a protest against the government's COVID-19 mandates that shut down Ottawa's downtown core for weeks in 2022. But the judge only convicted them for mischief, and for Barber, an additional charge of counseling others to disobey a court order.
5 out of 6 ain't bad. I can't comment on the mischief charge or any of the aspects of the judge's decision while the matter is still pending for sentence.
In the 127-page ruling, the judge focused on individual statements made by Leach and Barber during the 2022 protest. There was some spattering of applause and excitement in the room when some of the not guilty decisions were read out. In ruling the two didn't obstruct police, the judge said the evidence showed the two had instructed followers to listen to authorities. When they were arrested, they were polite and cooperated. During her decision, the judge made clear this was not a trial for the Freedom Convoy, but she also said that the crimes they were accused of clearly happened in the context of those protests. The court ruling that in the end, Leach and Barber crossed a line, but not as far as Crown prosecutors said they did. The Crown, however, says they will seek jail time. David Fraser, CBC News, Ottawa.
On the federal campaign trail, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh is targeting corporate tax loopholes. Singh accused the firm that Mark Carney used to be the head of being a major beneficiary of those loopholes. He in turn announced 3 policy planks, all related to taxation. Meanwhile, Liberal leader Mark Carney promised to boost funding to the CBC, and he went further than that.
We will not only increase CBC Radio Canada's funding by $150 million, but we will also make this funding statutory, meaning that Parliament as a whole will need to approve any future changes to its funding, not just the Cabinet. By strengthening our public broadcaster, we're protecting our identity and our culture and helping it to shine around the world. We're making Canada strong.
The Liberal plan for the public broadcaster draws a sharp contrast to the Conservative Party. Leader Pierre Poilievre has said he wants to defund the CBC while maintaining its French language programming. Poilievre was also in Quebec on Friday. He announced how he would address the problem of intimate partner violence. He says he has a 3-part approach.
1, we'll create a new criminal offense for assault of an intimate partner. This will deliver tougher sentences for those who do domestic violence. 2, there will be jail and not bail as a default for people who are accused of domestic violence, so that they cannot be released on the street and re-offend against their victims. 3, we will end the senseless practice of downgrading murder of an intimate partner to manslaughter simply because the murderer claims that it was a crime of passion.
Poilievre says that if the Conservatives were to form government, the killing of an intimate partner or a child would be treated as first-degree murder. The Canadian geese are back in Regina's Wascana Park. I mean, they never really did leave, did they? But as the snow melts, we're seeing more and more of them each day. So how about the snow? Will that melt over the weekend? I feel like we are more than due for some warmth. Ethan Williams will join us after the break with his full forecast. Stay with us. A Saskatoon man has partnered with the Open Door Society to help young immigrants feel more at home in their new surroundings. In this video for the CBC Creator Network, filmmaker Marzia Kamyabi tagged along as the group went sledding in Victoria Park.
My name is Graham Hopkins. I am the volunteer lead and organizer of the Saskatoon Newcomer Youth Outdoor Adventure Club. We are a club presented in partnership with the Saskatoon Open Door Society, which is where we are at today, and we take immigrant young people ages 13 to 18, as well as their friends and family, on outdoor recreational activities in the Saskatoon area. I live in Saskatoon. I'm 20 years old. I'm currently on a gap year, and I will be studying paleontology next year. Began on my first gap year. I was coming fresh out of high school, and I really wanted an education in the real world. And I really wanted to pair that passion for the outdoors with volunteer service, because I really believe in the incredible power of outdoor activity in forging connections and making people feel welcome and at home where they live, and in connecting people to the outdoors and to the environment.
I met Graham about a year ago. I had first actually approached him for our Youth Leadership Initiative program, because we're always looking for ways to take youth outside, get them involved in the community, let them try new things. And so this was a great way to keep the youth active and try sports and things like that. So that's how we met, and this partnership has been going on for over a year now.
So I also last year self-published a book with the Saskatoon Public Library, and the book was called Prehistoric Saskatoon, a book for young readers. I think it's really powerful to express your passion in writing. The written word is so amazing because it connects to people across all demographics, across differences. And so climate change is one area where lots of people are really trying to connect with people, but I find oftentimes they struggle. And I think we should really embrace things like outdoor activity and writing and art as a way to bridge that gap.
Like, we run leadership programs at the Saskatoon Open Door Society, specifically catered to youth, and a lot of the programs or topics that come up in these programs is environmentalism. And so we have seen a trend where youth are very aware of the environment and climate change, and lets kids appreciate the outdoors a little bit, I guess. Yeah. One big thing that was really exciting when Graham had reached out about this club was that he's a youth himself. And so because we serve youth clients, it's really special to have another youth lead these youth.
High school, I struggled a lot with feelings of insecurity and powerlessness and shame because of certain struggles that I went through academically. And so for a lot of people, I think high school is really a deconstruction of their identity in a lot of ways. It certainly was for me. It felt like almost like Lego, like I was being disassembled, and so many parts of my identity and my character were being taken away with every struggle and every failure that I went through. And so I wanted to rebuild that. I wanted to say, okay, this is a mess. Let's clean it up, let's build it back. And so I wanted to build back my character. And this work is part of what I do to accomplish this.
There is a struggle to adapt to new environments, especially because these kids have left their friends and their families back home, and they have a lot of culture shock when they move here. And so by having the Outdoor Adventure Club and other programs that we do, it's really great to address some of those concerns that these kids are experiencing. And so that's really awesome that we are able to provide this service. And in Saskatoon especially, we have 6 months of winter.
Saskatoon is an interesting, fun place to live because we have so many people doing their own initiatives and really taking on the challenge and all these grassroots initiatives and really leading the charge, which I find really inspiring.
We have just a couple toboggans here. We have some sleds that you can use. We got the 3 little orange ones and we have the 2 big blue ones. You're welcome to try them as well.
I'm not such a great painter, not such a great musician, but this is one area in which I feel that I am pretty good at the art I create. I create experiences.
And our weather specialist Ethan Williams joins me now. Finally, some sunshine, but not a very warm return of that sunshine.
No, you know, I've been teasing all week, you know, spring is coming. It's coming. Just wait. It's coming. I can finally tell you that this weekend, yes, I think we will begin to feel a lot more like spring across the province. And in terms especially of the skies, you mentioned those sunny conditions out there on the Friday, and I'll show you those now on our radar and satellite imagery. You can see almost not a cloud to be seen throughout the province as we've gone through the day. Just a little bit of some light cloud cover here and there, especially moving through northern Saskatchewan, but really through south and central and the Churchill region, yeah, quite nice sky-wise. But again, we are still stuck in that very stagnant weather pattern that we've seen throughout this week here, and sort of that spread in temperatures into western parts of the province, only getting as good as about +5 or +6. That is still, believe it or not, slightly below average for this time of year, and well below average is where we're seeing those temperatures like -3 in Wynyard and Yorkton still hanging back. Northern Saskatchewan, these temperatures are actually a bit of an improvement over the past couple of days. We got up to around -5 in parts of the north. The kind of the crux of that cold air that we've seen over the north these past couple of days, now moving eastward into Manitoba. But that doesn't mean that it's not going to be a chilly next night here or so, especially as we get into early Saturday morning as you wake up. If you have plans on early Saturday morning, well, you might want to take some gloves and maybe a toque as well, because even in Saskatoon and parts of central Saskatchewan, we'll be feeling closer to -20 and into the -20s in the far north. But as I said earlier, this is all about to change. You see the jet stream there, the colder air up to the north, the warmer air to our south and out west. Well, that pretty quickly begins to take over as we move into Saturday afternoon. Much of the province getting a nice taste of that warm weather that Alberta has been experiencing later in the week here. Jet stream starts to recede a bit as we get into Sunday, so some of that colder air is pulled back into eastern parts of the province. Even on Monday, I think along the Manitoba border, we'll still be closer to the freezing mark. But in the southwest, though, those orange colors that you see there indicate temperatures may be near 20 degrees. And along with that, a much quieter pattern in our skies. We're seeing a little bit of some snow moving through eastern sections as we get into early Saturday, but then that moves out and leaves us with a pattern that is mostly sunny skies throughout the province as we go throughout the weekend. A little bit of cloud cover, though, building back in on Monday. You see a system developing out in Alberta that we'll be watching a bit later in the week. Wind-wise, still a bit breezy as we move into southeastern sections getting into Saturday, but overall those winds starting to calm down. A little bit of a breeze coming in as that next system rolls through from Alberta. But for the weekend, yeah, take a look at this. Temperatures jumping up to near double digits in Regina. Will stay nice until, again, Tuesdays when we're watching maybe a little bit of rain and snow, but then we are free and clear of that as we look at definitely double-digit temperatures for the rest of the week. Saskatoon will drop back down there on Sunday, as I say, but things very quickly getting warm again. Maybe a little mixed bag on Friday, but otherwise, Sam, those temperatures looking great. Even the overnight lows possibly getting above the freezing mark for once.
Are we just going to act like we don't see the snow on there?
Yeah, that is exactly, well, you're giving away my, my plans here. We're just going with it.
Thanks, Ethan.
You're welcome.
An iconic restaurant in Saskatoon is serving up a unique experience once again. The Cave's farewell was short-lived. The quirky Saskatoon establishment closed down in February, but it is reopening under new ownership. The inside of the restaurant was designed to look like a cave, and it appears it will stay that way. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back. A docuseries featuring Saskatchewan firefighters is back with a third season. Guardians of the North follows crews fighting fires and connecting with communities in the province's north. Last year was one of the most severe on record for wildfires in Saskatchewan. Local film crews were on the ground with the wildland firefighters as they battled through difficult conditions. This season of the show also features new recruits fighting fires for the first time and possible instances of arson.
It's absolutely amazing. And dramatic. And it reminds me of a battle, an actual battle, to just beat that fire down and save a community, save people, save lives, as well as search and rescues. When you have someone lost in the middle of the boreal forest, how do they find them? Well, we get into that in Guardians of the North. Or if someone starts a fire and is trying to burn a community, we have fire investigators that go in there and they can pinpoint when the fire started and they can find out if it was arson so they can help save communities.
Guardians of the North is funded through Creative Saskatchewan's feature film and TV production grant. You can watch episodes starting April 8th. That's Tuesday night on City TV. And Ethan is back with one last look at your weather.
Well, if we just get through one more chilly night here for many of us across the province, we'll be rewarded with some nice spring temperatures. Let's take a look at how things are shaping up Friday into Saturday. Yeah, closer to the Manitoba border, into the double digits again, and again, especially in central Saskatchewan around Saskatoon. That's feeling closer to the -20 mark at times, and same for far northern Saskatchewan. But as we get into Saturday, the last of that cloud cover beginning to clear away after the possibility of some morning flurries in eastern sections, and temperatures jumping up above the freezing mark once again through the Churchill region, near freezing if you're in the far north. Into south and central Saskatchewan again, east central areas could catch a few of those flurries as they move through early in the morning. But for the rest of us, the sunshine sticks around and we warm up pretty quickly as we head through the day. Winds staying fairly light with the sunshine out and jumping up into the single digits above the freezing mark, and possibly even above 10 degrees if you're in parts of southwestern Saskatchewan. So you will note, Sam, that there is no snow in the forecast once we get past the morning hours to speak of. So a nice weekend ahead.
Oh, I think that's a weekend for outdoors. Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
And that is it from us this week. For more news anytime, you can head to cbc.ca or cbc.ca/sask, or subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel. You can also download the CBC News app on your smartphone or tablet. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great weekend.